Good evening. Welcome along to our third Q&A with Diego, Bryn, Mia and Austin. Yet again, you continue to show your support for this audio-only, non-video format. Nearly 100 people tune into our second one, and over 2,000 people have now viewed both of the replays from the first two Q&As on YouTube and Facebook after the online events happened. We'll also be releasing all three Q&As as a podcast from next weekend. Now, you did this, not us. The Westies Discord Europe server continues to bring the West Coast Swing community together with easy-to-find gaming, cookery, memes, dance videos, and chat. Come join us on here when you want. Now, just a few rules before we start this Q&A. It's a politics-free zone, always has been, for West Coast Swing or any other flavour. There's already enough for that speech out there. We also have a text channel that's going a little bit mad already where you can ask questions. Even Stephen White is stalking us in there at the moment. It got really busy in there last time, so please make sure you use the word question in big capitals so we can see it, find it, and then send it on to Yuval so you can ask it. Or just bypass all that rigmarole and just unmute your mic and ask via voice. Now, we'll also have a short break at around 30 to 45 minutes, and this Q&A should last for an hour and 15 minutes. If you're really good and behave yourselves, we might give you another 15 minutes if the pros let us. So get your questions in. We're not going to hang around while we have four top West Coast Swing dancers here and a bonus one in Stephen. This is an audio-only format. I think we're all a bit bored and fed up with all the Zoom. So there's not a webcam anywhere to be found. Naked, which I'm not, on the toilet, having a jog, or however you do that, I don't know, or you're just sunbathing, not in the weather in the UK, you can relax. There's no webcams anywhere. Finally, please behave yourself. If you act like an idiot, we'll just kick you off the Q&A. Please keep your mics on mute, unless, obviously, you want to ask a question. You can mute your mic by clicking on that microphone symbol once, and there'll be a line going through it. Well, that's me done. I'll find you in the text channel with Topi and Andreas. We're also live now across Facebook and YouTube. Hello to those guys. You can ask questions in Facebook and YouTube as well. Yuval.
Thanks, Justin. Luckily, you can't see me now because I was out all day and I turned red like a tomato. So thankfully, it's only audio. Anyway, it's great to have so much support from the community. Thank you so much for that. Really, really appreciate it. And now, without further ado, let's welcome our guests for today. From Fortaleza, Brazil, the world-known shirt-tearing specialist, Diego Borges.
Hello, guys. I love how you introduce myself. I feel so good about that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Representing the Lone Star State, Bryn Anderson.
Hey, y'all.
The roller skating princess of California, Mia Primavera.
Hey, everyone.
And the one and only Mr. Chill, Austin Coyce.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
So great to have you all with us. Thank you so much for joining. Let's start with some self-introduction. Bryn, can you go first and tell our audience about you and your West Coast Swing career?
Yeah, so my name is Bryn, obviously. I currently dance champions. I'm partners with KP Rutland, who I think is here, although he'll probably hate me calling him out.
Okay, we won't tell him. Hope he didn't notice.
Yeah, so I've been dancing West Coast Swing since I was like 5, so it's really been a part of my life forever. To be honest, I forgot that we were supposed to introduce ourselves, so I think that's kind of all I have for now.
No, feel free to say whatever you want. It's okay. You didn't have to prepare anything.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Cool. Thanks. Diego, do you want to go next?
Sure. So let's start here. I like to talk about the way I find West Coast Swing and the way I became a dancer, because I do think the short story inspired a lot of people. Because before being a dancer, I was a karate fighter. I was national champion, Pan American champion. I was third in the world. And I came to college. I am a physical educator. I came to college because karate. And At the college, I find ballroom dance, not the ballroom dance that you guys used to dance in Europe or US, but the Brazilian kind. So forró, zouk,
Oh,
and the Latinos one, salsa, bachata,
leg
whatever.
day, arm day, and ab
Yeah,
day.
and I start to do that, but I still practicing karate and compete a lot. So I was dancing just like a student a week, one time a week. But in 2008, I was in the Pan American Championship, and I have I broke. I think that's the right word. I broke my tendon for my my
you
toe.
tore your tendon.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So I couldn't
Whoa.
fight anymore. So I need to retire from karate, and I was pretty sad at the time because I was fighting karate. I was 8 years old, so I spent my whole life thinking, practicing, and dreaming about that. So I need to
Oh,
stop, and just because I need to stop, I started to dancing more and become a dance teacher and find the West Coast swing and start to learn West Coast swing. So well, I just started really to become a West Coast Swing pro because something really happens bad with me a couple years ago. And I like this story because I know a lot of people, actually, we all have a very bad times in our lives and we try to blame something else for that, but all comes for good. And this was the way I started to dance West Coast Swing.
oh, that's like a really crazy story. You probably felt devastated at the beginning that you couldn't fight anymore. But it's amazing that you found dancing. I mean, like the way you see it today, it's wow,
Thank you,
that's
guys.
really
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Who wants to go next after that? Austin, go ahead.
Sure. Mine's way less exciting than that. I mean, I started dancing, essentially kind of the same time in college. My whole life I had been playing soccer, or football. I guess football's probably more appropriate. But yeah, I broke up with a girlfriend in college, as most guys do at some point. And my mom had been dancing for 7, 8 years doing West Coast Swing, and she was just noticing me sitting around the house being mopey for a while, and kept pushing me. And eventually, after a couple weeks, she got me to go, try out dancing at a WNY warehouse in Novato, California, where Warren, Pino, and Yenny City One taught. And eventually, I got into it there, and it's kind of how it all began. Got to my first event, which was I think Capital Swing in 2011, and just kind of stuck at that point. And
That's cool.
Yeah.
WNY is a really cool place to start, probably, right?
Oh yeah. You go in, there's
Yeah,
like 10 all-stars in one spot. It's kind of a good place to go.
exactly. Like I was there when I was a real beginner, and I got to dance with Alyssa in a social. I was like, wow.
Yep.
Mind blowing.
Yeah,
That
it
was
kind
insane
of
for me.
yeah, it kind of went from that to just competing for a couple of years, and then I got to All-Star, and I realized like, oh, eventually I should kind of make this a thing that's important to me instead of just a hobby.
I'm good at it, so why not just like stay?
Exactly.
That's the right approach. Mia, your turn.
Hey, so I've been dancing West Coast Swing for 5 years. Um, I didn't do partner dancing before. I was musical theater. Um, that's my whole life. I was going to college, and then the summer after my sophomore year in college, I happened to look up partner dancing because it was something that I thought was interesting, and I found Atomic Ballroom of all places.
Yeah.
And they
All the
had
big names here. Okay.
at the time that I started going, they were doing a week-long promotion where you could do as many classes for a week. And I'm a very intense kind of person, so I think I did every single possible class you could do,
So
which
like
is often
24 hours a day, every day.
almost, yeah. By the 5th day, I had blisters on both my feet, and I was dying. But
And you weren't dancing barefoot.
no, I was in
Okay,
shoes.
just checking.
Fully clothed, dancing in shoes. And yeah, I think I was looking for swing. I had never even heard of West Coast swing, and I think I knew a tiny bit of Lindy Hop when I first started, and from, like, a performance that I did, I didn't really know Lindy Hop. And so then the second day that I was going was a Monday. It was a class for West Coast Swing, and I was so confused because 'cause I'm like, "Where's the rock step? What's going on?" And then I still, like I kept going, I was really confused. And then they started playing the music that I really like. I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting." And then in hindsight, I watched in the practice social, I watched 2 novice level dancers dance together, and I thought it
Mhm.
was the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. And I was
Oh,
like, "Forget everything else." I mean, of course, I'm gonna still take all the classes that I can, but this is something special, and I fell in love with it right away.
oh, that's a cool story.
Mhm. Plus, I'm allowed to point
And
my feet in West Coast swing, and it's not a bad thing, so
yeah, true, that's important. By the way, everyone, for those of you who don't know Atomic Ballroom, that's Ben's ballroom, right? It's Ben's club. It's Ben's
It
school.
it's the ballroom that Ben hosts a West Coast swing night at, yes.
Hmm. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for the correction. True, he doesn't own the whole
Yeah.
facility. And let's talk a bit about what you guys have been doing since the shutdown, which is like, wow, a year already. Austin, do you want to start?
Sure. So I was, I started out the year last March, just kind of, not sure how long it was gonna last, like everyone did, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I can say
yeah,
that
just like, yeah,
again.
2 weeks, whatever. I'll just chill, hang out, and be fine. But yeah, like then obviously turned into months and so on. Like the early time, I was, trying to do virtual lessons and trying to like start, website and all sorts of other stuff. There's just stuff I'd
Mhm.
been putting off for a while. Because coincidentally, like I earned my first champions points at Capital pretty much like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before everything shut down.
Oh, congrats, by the way.
And yeah, thank you. So I was just like kind of getting started
Now,
essentially.
now you lose everything. So choose couple
Right.
points after a year, you have it in more. Sorry.
Exactly right. But it's just like I was like, oh, I got some stuff. I'm getting going, and then just hit a brick wall essentially. And I was trying to like keep the momentum going. I was doing virtual, stuff. I
Mhm.
started, Patreon and things like a lot of people did.
Mm.
And after a while, it just kind of didn't feel right for me personally. Just kind of keep doing that. I just didn't feel like it was where I wanted to, be, and I didn't enjoy teaching in virtual space. So I kind of
Okay.
pulled back on that a bit, and then just I was making my way through, just kind of chilling out for a while in the year, and then yeah, come October, I ended up moving to Florida now. I'm over by
Mm.
Steven, and I had gotten the opportunity to teach at Hugo and Stacy's studio, and I thought, like, I'll try it. I'll try to do private lessons because it still kind of fits morally for me within COVID. I'll make it work out. And turns out it didn't work out, which is fine. So yeah, like now I've just like kind of shifted myself into a different job just to kind of fill time between now and when dance comes back. So
Do you live next to Steven now?
almost,
Sorry.
good
So
30
sorry.
minutes
So do
away.
you ask him for butter sometimes when you run out?
Uh, occasionally. No, I don't think Steven has any butter in his
Okay.
house. I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's asking Steven, do you have any butter in your house? Uh,
Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
like,
sure he wants to answer that.
what does he use it for? Who knows? No, but yeah, just kind of, divested myself from dance for a little bit.
Mhm. Mia, what have you been doing lately?
What haven't I been doing? Um,
We got time. We've got time. Go on.
um, I know, I've been definitely trying to keep myself busy. Um, everything I do has, like I want it to be artistic and I want it to be physically demanding.
Mhm.
So, like, everything I do has to kinda go in those categories. Kind of like Austin, I started teaching a little bit online, and I still do a little bit, like, every so often on Thursdays. I teach
Mhm.
for Ben's virtual. There's a plug.
Oh.
Ben does a night every Thursday. Um, It's great.
Oh, good. Yeah, feel free to plug. That's okay. It's cool.
So, I still do a lot of like solo dancing for myself, but
Mhm.
it's pandemic. All of a sudden, everyone's virtual. Everyone can take from anyone, and I definitely felt as an all-star. I was like, well, I'm gonna not try to compete with the entirety of the world right now. And I started like way more like quietly talking to people about healing their bodies. I do a lot of
Mm.
body functionality work. I'm a certified personal trainer, have been for years now. That's not something that I did during the pandemic. I think
Cool. Okay.
a lot of people are like, I'm a personal trainer now. I'm like, I have been one. But I'm not the like lift weights, get strong. I'm the let's make sure you don't break yourself.
That's
And
interesting. That's a nice approach. It's,
it's more gentle. So I've been doing
Mhm.
that as well as playing a lot of music and letting myself explore my hobbies.
And do you train also people who are not dancers, right? Not only for dancers.
I think I have like a few clients that aren't dancers, but most of them because they find me through dance somehow. So I usually
Mm.
end up giving them exercises that also are targeting dance stuff. But yeah, I haven't been pushing it a lot because I'm still learning. The body's very complicated.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds very complicated.
Hmm.
Bryn, do you want to go next?
Sure. So the pandemic has definitely changed a lot for me. So not everybody knows this, but I used to be going to college in Tacoma, Washington. And like KP and I were trying to manage like a long distance
Mm.
partnership, which is basically impossible. Um, and this
Yeah, sounds like it.
yeah, no, my God, it's so
Uh,
hard. It's ridiculous.
Because I remember you told me once that you moved right for the college.
Yeah, so I actually wound up transferring to Rice University, and I'm going there now. Um, I've basically just been almost a full-time student for this past year, which has been like really
Ooh.
strange and kind of
How does
awesome.
that feel?
So like I have so much homework. It's not even fun.
Okay,
Like
so you're
I
not bored.
No, I'm not bored. But then also being in the same city means that like KP and I now have like practice space. So like over the past couple of months, we actually have gotten to practice regularly. So that's been really fun. Neither of us are like only West Coast swing dancers. He's a software engineer. I'm obviously a student. So we haven't
Cool.
been Yes, we haven't been teaching regularly at all. Other people who are full-time dancers definitely
Mhm.
need the traffic. So yeah, we are looking forward to when things start back up too. I'm going stir crazy and also
For
like
sure.
lack of dance crazy.
I can definitely empathize with that. And
Yeah,
you're now in Houston, right, in Texas,
just I
or not?
am.
Okay.
No, I am in Houston. I feel like my accent is coming back too.
Yeah, that's why I asked. You see, because their accent is gone. I was worried. Good.
I mean, like I lived in California for a long time, so I never am gonna sound like completely drawly, but it's there.
Yeah, is it possible to acquire a different accent when you move? I mean, when you're
Oh my god,
like,
yes, absolutely. I think.
but I mean, like, when you don't move at like 6 or something, at the age of 6 or 4, when you move a bit older.
Oh well, actually, no. Yeah, that is a good question. Because like I moved
Yeah.
to Texas when I was like 8, and so it
Mhm.
definitely became part of my like dialogue, dialogue, um, dialect. I don't know what the word is. I'm tired.
That
Both.
one.
Yes, sound, exactly. Did Austin say that?
I said that
Yeah.
one. Sound works too. I'll go with sound.
I wonder if Austin's gonna adopt a Florida accent.
There's a Florida accent? Oh, God.
I don't think Floridans have an accent.
I'm sure everyone, everywhere, it must have.
Florida has
Yeah.
an accent. Yes, it does.
Oh,
We definitely
really?
do. Yeah, everyone
You
has.
see?
Does it just sound like talking about crocodiles?
Yeah.
Yes, Steven.
Just meth and gators. Thanks, Steven.
He knows. He's been
Diego,
Yeah.
do you want to say what you've been doing lately?
After hear everything that Mio have been doing, I feel just I was just watching Netflix a whole year or so.
Have you watched anything good that you recommend?
So there's
Yeah,
been a lot of Netflix in my life too. Don't worry.
Yeah, and Netflix has been a great friend, and my couch also. So we create a very deep relationship. I mean, we are very, very connected right now, and I'm not sure, but when I start to travel again, I probably will bring him with me because
Your couch?
yeah, my couch. Yeah, we just inseparable. We
So
love
I don't know, your contracts might become very expensive if we want to fly the couch. But
maybe-
okay, that's the AD's problem, not mine.
Yeah, maybe broke up. We keep going back and forth, but that's okay. And besides that, I mean, as you know, I'm a physical educator, so I have an online program to make people lose weight. I call 3 Elements.
Oh.
Because it's all about the mindset. When we talk about lose weight, everyone thinks about diet and physical education, like physical activities, but you just will do that if you have the right mindset, if you find inspiration, if you have discipline and motivated yourself. So that's the program is about. And we have this thing. I also launched my book, I think it was last year. So I have a book about personal development. Is a game, actually, 39 challenge to you to do to improve yourself and social skills, emotional skills.
You
physical skills.
wrote a book.
Yeah, I wrote a book.
Wow.
Probably 2 years
Impressive.
ago.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's launched that too. Yeah, it was always a dream, so I did that. Actually, as a
Nice.
dancers, we have much more time right now. When this pandemic started, and I created Beyond the Triples. It was something that I have in mind for so long, and it is a program to West Coast swing dancers when the focus is not just on the technical skills, it's also on the technical skills. But I believe to be a great dancer, you need to develop also your emotional skills, because some people, they just don't have confidence enough to become a good dancer. They're not emotional prepared to start in this world, and social skills, because I saw a lot of, let's call champions, pros, they win a lot of competitions, and for me they still like terrible dancers because they just know how to compete, but they can't make people happy on the dance floor, just don't like the social part of it. So Beyond the Triples work on these things, and I will launch my first online training next month. As all recorded, is all like in addiction time right now. So yeah, I have been doing a lot. Actually, I like to work a lot. So the time that I used to do practicing and traveling and teaching, right now I am studying more about digital marketing and still practicing. Like a couple of my students, they come to my place when we are not in lockdown. Like Brazil is pretty crazy right now, so we are not allowed to leave, and I haven't been practicing for 2 months, but before that I was practicing like 3 times a week, and I like to keep my body and mind very, very awake.
Wow, you've been doing a lot, and like really impressive. The book and Beyond the Triples, that's like super important stuff that you do there. You also have it in different languages, right? I think you have a German edition maybe, or a French one. I think I saw something.
Yeah. We did French, German, Portuguese, and Russian.
Oh,
Yeah, and
cool.
my goal on the future, because I feel a lot those guys, because when I started to dance West Coast swing, I mean it was 2010. I was just looking on YouTube videos because I wanted to learn jive, and I love jive. Like, and I asked my friend, and she gave me a East Coast swing DVD, and she said, "Here is the same as jive." and I start to learn East Coast swing. But when I was Google it, when I was looking up on YouTube, I was just write swing, and YouTube showed me many different kinds of swing. So West Coast, East Coast, bubble, shag, wherever. And I saw, I think the first video that just caught my attention was Ben Morris and Tessa, old one in some Jack and Jill, was like
Oh,
a
yeah.
blues, very very fun. And oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I
I know this
love
one.
that. Yeah, I love that. Like Ben touch her knees, I think, and shake his shoulder, and oh, that's fucking amazing. I want to learn that shit. Then I start to look up for swing, and I start to buy all the DVDs. It was possible. It was 2010, and I speak no English at all, zero English. So I was just learning like a little bit here, a little bit that. And right now, when I'm teaching, and I know there's a lot of people out there who does not speak English and also does not speak Portuguese. So I will do my best to make sure those people also get the right information.
That's amazing. That's really great. So everyone can find it on Facebook, right? You just type in Beyond the Triples. And you can find it.
Yeah, it's mostly on Instagram right now and Facebook. I will bring more of the Facebook and to the YouTube channel, because in Brazil, Instagram is like crazy, dominated. But I know outside, like the West Coast swing community, is still a lot on YouTube and Facebook. So in 2021, I will bring my project more for those channels too.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the first question from the audience. I have one coming in from Zoltan from Hungary. What's your favorite food? Okay, who wants to start?
I can say.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I will say, guys, come to Brazil, because we have the best food in the world. Like Brazilian food, the Brazilian steakhouse that I go outside from Brazil, they're also great. So I mean, we have something that we call baião. You all need to come here to try. It's kind of beans, rice, and a cheese, a lot of cheese, and a little more cheese, and there is a cheese in there. So it's one
Is there
of my,
cheese in there?
yeah, there's some cheese, and it's one of my favorite foods, because yeah, I mean, I just let you know, Brazilian food is fucking amazing.
Well, that sounds great. Maybe you can cook something when
That's
you fly
not
somewhere.
a great idea.
No.
no. Then you guys will
You can't
never
bring it with you?
come to Brazil. No, it's not the same thing.
I think the audience here wants more cheese. Austin, what's your favorite cheese? What's your favorite food?
Favorite cheese? Okay, let's go on a list here.
difference.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, it's pretty close to just cheese. No, I definitely say like gnocchi, pesto. Probably my favorite thing. Just good old pastas. Very
See,
simple.
the Italian way. Okay.
Exactly.
What's your favorite sauce for pasta?
Pesto, 100%. Basil pesto.
Oh. You're a simple person, Austin.
Very simple.
Mia, how about you?
My favorite food is sushi.
Good
I thought
choice.
That's also
you
great.
choose something Italian. What about the roots? What about your ancestors?
Just a name.
But yeah, I mean, you grow up with Italian food. It
And you get
So
becomes
sick.
sushi comes from Brazil, right? Sushi is a Brazilian food.
no.
No, come
It's
on,
true. The
Diego.
Japanese,
No,
the
that's
Japanese is
not
stole
true.
from us. It's a Brazil. Everybody knows that in Brazil is a Brazilian food. We have fish and rice is a Brazilian food.
Oh my god.
Sure. Okay. Can someone fact check it, please?
Fact
Just Google
checking.
it.
Bryn, how about you?
I mean, if there was such a thing as Brazilian sushi, then maybe that would be my favorite food.
Barbecue.
Thank you. I always
Yeah.
love it, you.
But I don't think I actually have one. Like, I'm a pasta person for sure. If there is pasta, I will eat it.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we have a majority for pasta here.
Mhm.
Having been to Texas, surely barbecue must be on the list somewhere.
For sure.
I am a bad Texan. I don't eat beef or pork, and I don't like barbecue sauce.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Sacrilegious
It's
right
like,
there.
is that something you're allowed to say in Texas?
So she's
Like,
still in that conversation, or we will kick her out now. So
I don't know. That's strike
Brin,
one.
you know,
It's
like
okay. She has to
one
know.
of the best steak Brazilian houses have been. It was in Texas. I think it was in Houston. Was
The-
Fogo de Chão, I think.
Yeah,
It's
now I
everywhere.
pass by that a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, never been.
You
Don't
should.
think I'll ever go.
We'll see about that when Diego comes over.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You can go with him and eat the Brazilian sushi they serve there.
Yes, no, exactly.
So we have our next question from Michael from Germany. Michael, do you want to speak?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks so much for coming. And Diego has been a champion for like really long time, so he probably doesn't even remember this. But the other three of you, there's like full HD videos of you dancing in All Stars. So I just want to ask, what was it like to get into champions? Like, did current champion tell you, hey, you should dance in our division, or did you just decide for yourself, I'm ready for this? What was
It's
that
better
like?
to be in All Star.
No, it's not.
It is. Trust me. You will find out.
That's a cool question.
I can answer that.
Mhm.
Kind of what my experience was. Like I was in All Star for almost 6 years, right? And
That's
I
longer
kind
than
of
Dia's been dancing, right?
maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I was sitting there for a while. I was just waiting essentially for that signal, right, to kind of say like, hey, try it, because I just don't and didn't think I was ready,
Mhm.
And I just kind of like got to the point where it was mid 2019, and I was watching, all the people I was competing against that have been All Star for a lot less time that were trying out champions or doing champions divisions. And I was like, okay, well, if they can do it and they can possibly make a final at an event somewhere, like I think it was City of Angels, I saw like 3 people that I'd competed against and beat on a regular basis, making a champions final. I was like, all right, my turn. Going for it, just whatever.
Yeah.
It took me a while to make a final. My first final was almost a year after starting Dancing Champions, and that was at Capital this year or last year. But yeah, it was definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You are totally the opposite of myself.
Why, Diego?
Yeah. No, that's interesting because when I see, we never really spend time together, like me and him, so we never really have a great conversation. But when I see you dance, I see you more. I thought your personality was more like myself. I mean, because you are so bold when you dance and so chill and so confident. I mean, you guys, some people, I forget the name of the guy that asked the question, say, "Oh, we don't have a lot of videos here going All Star," because I probably
That's Michael. That was Michael.
I probably compete in All Star twice. I mean, I never respected the point. I was one time in North Division. Then my second competition, I was intermediate division. My third competition, I was in advanced division. My fourth competition, I was in All Star, and I did All Star for 2 or 3 times. Then I did champion because to me, like this point system is all bullshit, means nothing about you. And I was practicing. I was practicing in Brazil like for a whole year because I have no money to go to US. I mean, I have to work basically like 40 hours in Brazil to pay one private lesson in US. So I was travel once a year, and I do as much private as I could, and I compete, and I have good results. And the next time I travel, I subscribe myself in the division that I think I belong, and that's why my first champions division was because in Swing Diego at the time there is no All-Star division, so All-Stars compete against champion on Jack and Jill, and then
advanced or champs.
it's all together, right? Yeah, you have to choose between advanced or champions. So I was in champions and I made finals. It was my first Jungle champion, then I made third place, then I was official champion, whatever. But I mean, I was never respect that, because to me, honest, like you guys, like I have been great dancers.
Okay.
I have been see great shows of Bryn and Mia and Alcy, and to me, you guys are more champions than a lot of champions that are there, and they have the chair just because they have this chair for so long. And this for me is so a bullshit thing. I was talking about that yesterday. Like, imagine that. Like I was a karate fighter, but if today I decide to go to Olympics, I will not, because I'm not that good anymore. But in the West Coast Swing world is not like that. So people who used to be good like 20 years ago, you still make finals all the time because they became legend. I know you can be a legend, but just don't sit in the chair. Live for the greatest ones now.
Yeah, I can understand that. Bryn, Mia, do you want to add something on that question? When did you feel that you're ready for champions?
I mean, for me, it's still a mystery. I
Okay.
No, I think I've only competed in champions if it was a smaller event and I was on staff and it made sense to. I think I was finally starting to get to the point that I was like, okay, I think that I can maybe start to aim for it. And then the pandemic hit. I'm like, oh, well, I guess not. I guess not. So I don't know. I don't know. I think Bryn would be better to answer this.
Okay, Bryn.
So I don't know. I feel like I probably have a lot in common, but also maybe a couple of different things for like anybody who dances up into champions. I was an all-star for about 2.5 years, 3 years. And then in 2017, I was going to Phoenix 4th of July. Well, I don't really know how to tell this story because it's like a long and weird one, which is like probably the definition of getting up into champions. It's long and weird. Unless you're Diego, then it's fast and
also weird.
Fast and weird.
Also weird.
Fast and weird, yeah. So
like Brazilian sushi, fast and weird.
Oh my god! Wait, like fast through your stomach?
Also.
Yeah. So I got to dance champions at Phoenix 4th of July in 2017 because they had this like peer vote Jack and Jill, and basically champions who made it last year nominated people to then vote into the finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Ben McHenry. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very Bamio thing to do. And like I found out that I was nominated and I was like, and then I actually wound up getting a spot, and then I was like,
Did someone hear that, or were you shouting in your room alone?
So I was with family at the time, and fun fact, I accidentally FaceTimed McHenry when I found out, and so like he got this like random video of me screaming running down the stairs.
And the next year they changed the rules, right?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said the next year they changed the rules because of that. No, I'm kidding.
No, yeah, exactly. So I drew Hugo Miguez, and I wound up getting 5th, which gave me a point, which I was very excited about. But then I didn't actually wind up dancing champions then. I danced champions at Summer Hummer, didn't make finals, and then I kind of just stuck around in All-Stars for a while because I felt like, I wanted like enough momentum to like get into champions and then stay there. Like one of the things that I really resonated with when Austin was talking is like, if you do dance up in champions, especially now, I feel like it's very easy to get there and then just not make finals for a very long time. And that is just rough. So I wound up going back down to All-Stars and got to the point where I was being really successful. And then Kyle Red invited me to do a Strictly with him.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful was that?
So like, surprisingly not very. Like once you do make finals or like are in a Strictly like that, at least for me, like the anxiety just kind of melted away. And like I started making finals frequently enough that I felt like I wasn't just gonna kind of like fall or fade into oblivion. And then now it's just like fun, basically. Of course, when you realize that you're dancing next to Todd, that's like freaking terrifying. So
Yeah, well, I can understand that. Yeah. Can imagine.
yeah.
Justin, how are we doing with the time?
I think we'll do one more question because I'll ask this one for them. We'll do this question and go to a break afterwards.
Okay.
This one is via YouTube from Leo Lorenzo. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him from France.
Hello.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, Leo.
Leo.
You are
Salut.
not dancing, Leo. I think you are dancing, practicing all the time. What you are doing watching this?
and Leo asks, what do you think about the new 150 points rule in All Star to be able to compete in Champions? I'll let probably Austin kick off for that one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm indifferent on it. I think it has its benefits and its negatives for sure. I think the best thing about it is that it establishes a bridge. The worst thing about it is there's Champions events, because essentially the All-Star to Champion jump is your amateurism to professional, kind of jump in this dance where you're going from a point where it's very challenging or near impossible to make money to a point where it's slightly less challenging and impossible to make money, but
Only slightly.
yeah. But it essentially puts you in a place where you become more hireable, right? So it puts once you get a Champions point, once you get into the Champions division, you become someone who's more of a prominent figure. So, putting that essentially that label on people, if they can make a Champions point, maybe at a small event, then it's something I'm like iffy about. Where like getting 150 All-Star points just takes time, but getting a Champions point, if you get the ability to move into Champions and you go to a small event and find points and you lock yourself into Champions, you put yourself in this group of people that can essentially be marketed more, right? Right, Michael. But in any event where there's a prelim for Champions, I think it's a great thing, right? Or it's something that still sets you up against your peers and sets you up in a way that is not going to like force you into that division potentially prematurely, but it's going to force you to. It's going to open up the door in a way that then makes it more possible. So I think, like it has its positives and negatives for sure. Like the positive definitely is just giving people a bridge that's established and has, some weight to it. And obviously, like I was talking with, what was it? I was talking with a couple of event directors about that too. And they're like, one thing I was talking about was like, like we should put, first place requirements on All-Stars. But then like, if you have 150 points, you probably have a couple first places. So it's like, how high is the bar going to have to be? And like in total, like the percentage of people with 150 points is fairly low out of All Stars. So it's like you're not looking at a very large group of people to begin with.
It was like 5 of us that it like directly that weren't already sort of champions like you were, Bryn.
Yeah.
Like when it first came out, there was 5 who were in the vicinity.
Yeah, so like in total, the point requirement is challenging enough to hit that it still does like a good job of saying like, hey, you're probably worthy. But at the same time, like. Having the other bridge available where you could just like ask an event director or ask a chief judge if they can let you compete, like the petition system, like that still works out. Like people like Diego who were qualified essentially to go up to Champions, but like didn't have the money or the points to go through the whole system and get the 150 points. Like, yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, like it's a good thing. Roundabout way of saying.
I'm curious if there is someone who can make like 150 All-Star points without making first place. That's going to be a real challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be
the
hard.
actual challenge is to do just good enough.
A lot of twos. A lot of twos.
But
a lot of twos.
I do think this is a great idea, actually. Is a
what,
great idea.
To make 150 points?
150 points know is a great idea for the world swing dance council to make money. It's a great business idea because
That's
what
true.
Okay.
yeah, what happens is a lot now, like the event first have to be official event because the Warsaw All-Stars want to go there to make points. So they have a lot of
Mhm.
All-Stars competing more times. So it's just a business. So they are not creating that to help the dancers or to be more fair because that's not fair at all. At all. Even for to
Okay.
people who live in America, they have to travel a lot, compete a lot, and they find weak events to try beat like to me, what is fair, like put everybody together. It's always be fair if we are all together. Do you know what I like at Swing Diego when I competed and when I started to travel? Because they have no requirement for that. They say, Diego, I was talking with your Pingo, I think, and I said, I have no points. I can subscribe myself in the intermediate division. And he said, Diego, like, you can. If you are not good, you will not make finals. And I said, that's perfect because I'm so
The
fucking
honor system,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Then, like when they allowed people, like Austin was saying, if they put all the champions together and all the all-stars together, and they have a fair judgment, because this is the problem: is the fair judgment is all the problem. Because as Bryn was saying, it's so hard to new all-stars going up and make finals because if they have 6 chairs for finals and there is 6 like big names they already have, they would not be judging as Mia or Alcin or all the all stars. So there's a lot of things wrong, and this point system is not fair at all.
Yeah, I understand what you were saying. It's definitely not perfect. Like many people have talked about it, and I'm sure it can be improved. Mia, do you want to add something?
Um, sure. I mean, I think it was pretty irrelevant. I mean, I think it came out and I was like, that's not going to change how I view this. But then it was kind of cool. Like it came out, I think I needed 9 more points. I was like, whoa, I'm within that 10 point already. And then I think just saying that, I think I only did 2 more competitions and then I only finaled. Or like I'll get 6th place. Like, oh man. And so
Whiff
so
it.
close, so close.
and I'm like, "Oh, was that a bad omen?" Like, all of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so close. I could just win once and I'm there, and then I can make the decision for me." But then I'm like, "Nope, still stuck." And then pandemic happens, and I'm like, "Well, I'm 7 points away.
Oh my
That's
god.
fun." And so this is weird, but I think that, like, Austin saying, like, I haven't seen any problem making real money as an all-star, and I think that
Yeah,
it
true.
might just be because I think I came in after, like, a big push to have All-Star be seen as an actual, like, benefit to, events. I think some events do that better, but I love you too, Steven. Um, some events do it better where they make the All-Stars feel like they're really beneficial, and I think All-Stars are really beneficial.
Like
As
how, for example, can you elaborate
well,
on that?
one, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that a lot more All-Stars are gonna be social dancing.
No,
Like, I'm
I
not
no, of course they're beneficial. I meant like how can they make them feel like they're beneficial?
Oh, one, I think that any event that allows an all-star pass, I'm like, "Thank
Hmm.
you." Like, um,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
super important. I agree.
yeah, I'm like, "I'm okay if you want us to, like, pay, like, an entry fee, but when they actually want us to come for free, that's the best." Like, thank you. Like, I feel appreciated. I've put time and effort into this,
Hmm.
especially I think that people who have come into this dance more recently, it's harder. It's harder to get
Yeah.
the points to come up even through the ranks. They've increased the points that you need to still move up. They've made it harder.
Hmm.
And then when I was coming up, I didn't wanna be someone who would go to a lot of small events and, like, rack up the little points here and there. I was like, "No, I'm gonna." I think I got out of, novice with Swing Diego and I think City of Angels, like, big events.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to do that. I wanted to be like I didn't wanna feel like I was cheating myself. I wanted to actually do it. But with the 150 points thing, going back to that, um, it wasn't gonna change when I went into champions. I was gonna do it when I was feeling ready, and I had this whole plan. I was gonna dance with a variety of champion leaders. I was going to ask them for private lessons with the idea, like, can you dance with me in the way that like would be a final? I want to make sure that I don't hold you back. But then COVID. This is like literally
Hashtag, but then COVID.
but then COVID. Like,
yeah, it's a hashtag. That's a new hashtag right there.
yeah. but then
Depressing
COVID.
hashtag. Oof.
I know. So I think that the 150 was kind of arbitrary because I think that there's a lot more all-stars that are going to respect that, like, yeah, they may have the talent, but I didn't feel ready. Like I wanted to, and like Bryn said, like she wants to have enough momentum, and she did. She got that momentum to be able to like sit comfortably, and I wanted that. And 150 points doesn't mean that you have that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, I think that it's so easy to overestimate the amount that you know about this dance. Because, like, on the surface, it's very simple. It's like walk, walk, triple, 5 basic patterns, rock and goes, pattern extensions. Okay. But it's just ridiculously complex if you really get to have fun with it. So in some ways,
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead with that.
So in some ways, like I do think, like I got like 156 All-Star points or something like that, and I do think that went a long way in preparing me to like actually dance champions. But I think like Michelle Crozier, if any of y'all know her, she's a dancer in California. She's fantastic. I love that. She said once that she felt like the distance between all-stars and champions is the same amount of distance between novice and all-star.
Yeah, I heard that one before.
Yeah. And you know, that might...
Do you still feel that way?
I don't know. I feel like there's a spectrum when you get up into champions too. Because there are some people who've been dancing it for so long. Like Diego said, that like they might actually know more about different ways to dance the dance than I do. But yeah, I think that there is a huge difference still. And so I do think like the 150 points is a good bridge for sure. Like economic consequences aside, because I feel like that does definitely benefit people who are just richer.
Just richer.
Yeah. If I can just jump out there.
Yeah.
Like what I think is important here is because there is a huge difference in dance technique, skills, or whatever, even though on the champions division. That's the problem here, because you not separate, like there is, I totally disagree with that, like the difference between all-star and champions is the same as novice and all-star. I totally disagree, because to me, like novice is someone who just started to learn to dance. So this person, like he or her can be just amazing, but they just start to learn, so they are novice. And all-star should be like a high level, and where some people, we need to understand that champions level doesn't mean you are one of the best in the world. That means you follow the rules. So you can just do a routine and have a great placement, or at least it was like that, and you become a champion, but you still are not
That
great.
is true.
You're still not a great dancer. I mean, I saw couples doing a great placements at the US Open, but they have bad West Coast swing technique. But they did a good routine, the judges like them, they have political issue. Good, now you are champion. No, you are not. If you see a champion final, even in the finals, you see a whole level difference. And I'm totally honest when I say there is all-stars that is so high level that they should sit in the chair all the time. If there is like 8 chairs there, they should have 1. And there is champions who should never make final. Never.
So Diego, what makes a champion for you then?
The quality, when you talk about champion, we talk about competition. So when we talk about competition, we are not talking about social skills or whatever, because even if you are a very stupid dancer.
But I mean, Diego, for you, like, because you're saying if they have the points, not officially.
Exactly.
Your definition of a champion, what is it?
Perfect. You should have the technical skills to become to that division. So let's understand that. not everyone, we see West Coast Swing divisions as a scale. So we start here, then you go here, then you go here, then you go here. But it's not like that. Not everyone goes to the top. Not everyone wants to go or should go. There is dancers who should be novice forever because they like to practice once a week. And if they don't compete,
Okay, yeah.
they will be novice forever. There is a dancer who like to practice enough to become an advanced dancer forever. That's where he wants to be. It's like me. I don't like to work out, but you guys see my body. That's my body. You will not see me more than that because I just go to here. I not compete. I not be one of the best. I would go to here. Like other people like to play guitar, but they will play until here. And for dancers the same. So the champions level are that guys and that girls who have we say one thing in physical education. To become a Olympic champion, let's say you need two things. You need the right person and the right training. That's a champion. That one who are born with that skills and work hard enough to develop them. Basically like
Wow. Yeah, that's really strong. That's true. Anyone wants to add on that? I feel like it's a really cool thing, this one.
Yeah, this goes back to something that Diego said a little earlier, but he brought up routines, and that has definitely been one of like the main tracks or bridges from All Stars or literally any level of West Coast Swing directly into champions. And I think he made a fantastic point about how we're, discussing or critiquing the 150 points bridge and like thinking about what actually makes a champion. There are definitely a lot of differences between the skills that you need to be an amazing routine performer and the skills that you need to be an amazing West Coast Swing social and Jack and Jill dancer. So I think that was a fantastic point. And in order to be like completely and truly a champion, I do think that you need that Jack and Jill social dance late night element.
Agree.
Yeah. So sorry that I'm like moving on, but we don't have much time. And I think, Justin, we have someone who wants to ask a question in their own voice, right?
Yeah, it's Stephen White from Florida, I believe.
No, I have to go. I
Who's this guy?
have to go. See you later.
It's Stephen White from Florida. He wants to ask a question. Stephen, you're on the mic. What did you want to ask?
Testing. Is this working?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
working.
sir.
Yes.
Ha, sweet. This is actually probably going to be a long question. Did you want to do the break first?
No, we're going to postpone the break because we had a fairly good conversation there. So go for it, Stephen.
Okay. Cool. So my question is for each of you. Obviously, there's been a lot of things that have been disruptive or divisive in the community, and there's been a couple of conversations hosted about what we can do to make the community less divisive and make the community a better place for everyone, but especially for people that perhaps need a little bit more help than others. What would you all think of that? What suggestions would you have for making the computer, Jesus Christ, or making the community a better place? Sorry, my computer did something weird. That's why.
Well, the
that
community
happened.
is a computer right now. We're all through computers, so it makes complete sense.
True.
Drop the mic. Okay.
I think
Mia, do you want to start?
Mia, go ahead.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this, and I think you can't always be completely inclusive, because if you want to create a community that is inclusive, there are going to be some people that can't be included. And I'm saying, like, if someone comes in and they're just a very exclusionary person and they're hard to deal with and they aren't fair to people, like, you can't include them. You want to make the majority an inclusive. I hope this makes sense. Like, you want to make the group inclusive, which means that, yeah, like, you don't want to tolerate intolerance. Yeah, so, like, I think for me, I think what I thought that I could do is make sure that anytime that I'm teaching a group class, or if I'm at a social floor, like, just trying to be aware, which I think that I wasn't fully aware because I was still in the mindset of like making sure that I was good enough to feel like I could be like a leader, a name in this community. I wanted to make sure that I was putting in the work. And of course, I'm still going to put in the work, but taking a step back from that and making sure that I'm being vigilant and making sure that people feel included and heard. And I mean, like the people that don't usually feel included and heard, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Stop.
Austin, do you want to
Oh, you
add
finally read my
something
check.
about
Okay.
that?
I did. I just read it. Yeah, we can
I just
exclude
read
that.
it. Oh my
No,
god.
I mean, it's a reference to a guy who's exactly that, very
Well, and now that's
much
coming
somebody you
from
don't want to
my
include.
community. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
yeah. We talk about him. You're talking about Atomic Ballroom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like touch on that. Like she said, like being overly inclusive is being exclusive, or you essentially crowd people out who you want to keep because someone who's included who should not be included is allowed the space to essentially bully or push others out. But I think like a lot of it right now is like I don't want to again try not to be political, but there are a lot of event directors that are on on the political spectrum in a place where they're potentially outside the majority of the community, right? Even though there's especially in the U.S., like this is very much a U.S. issue, not really
Yeah.
a foreign issue, but like
Yeah,
like
I feel like more than a European issue. That's true. It's more
for
in the
sure,
US.
yeah, like
It's a dream to go over and dance in Europe and
yeah, because like it's just the
Aw.
events are put on by people who are there for the event and they focus on the event and they try and make it an inclusive space. Like there's a lot of people in the US who are of the mindset that like, oh, well, we just leave you alone, and you'll fix the problems yourselves. And I'm just kind of here to essentially front the money for this ballroom space. And you're like, well, you need to be a better event director than that, essentially, which is what a lot of it boils down to. Is as a community, like it's partially down to the event directors, also partially down to the community and like not supporting those event directors, or even pushing to allow someone to take the risk of starting an event. Where right now it's a lot of essentially what would I guess be called whales that are fronting the money for events that are either going out of their own pocket or they've just been in contracts with events for so long, they've just had an event running for so long where they can kind of continue it, and they don't necessarily provide a positive space for everybody. They don't focus on being inclusive. They don't focus on limiting the potential for someone to get hurt by someone else at the event, right? Like either emotionally or physically. And I think it's a hard thing to say, like, do we want to say like boycott an event and then kill the event off because it doesn't have people, but then we don't have an event that weekend? Like, what does the community think? And I think obviously that's one
a
aspect.
hard one.
Yeah, that's one aspect for sure. But the other aspect of it is, if you look at the West Coast swing community, like it's majority white. Like, not to beat around the bush or anything, but it's a lot of white people here.
Yeah.
And that's partially because obviously like begets like. You're gonna have people joining the community because like, oh, I'm among people that are sharing my interests or that share a cultural background or share something else that draws me to this. So it's very challenging to get essentially non-white dancers to stick around if they walk into a ballroom and everyone is white and they don't have a way to connect necessarily. And like
So
it's
how do you do it? How can we do it then?
It's challenging. Like there's not a definite answer to say like, how do you fix a racial disparity in a community that's a hobby? Like I'm not going to say there's a clear-cut answer to how to do that, but it's definitely something that should be addressed, but it should be addressed in an organic way where it's like we want to promote people who are both skilled but also of potentially non-white backgrounds to actually do more important things in the community and be a more prominent figure potentially than if they're not. But obviously, like, you don't want to be like, hey, just because you're not white, we're going to make you a figure, right? Like,
no,
that's also not
sure.
good. So you don't want to be tokenizing people at the same time. But yeah, it's I don't have an answer for that. Like, it's not my expertise, but I just know that it is an issue that is something that our community faces. But it's also potentially maybe not an issue, or maybe it's just not a culturally demanded thing from other people. Like, how much is it just because people aren't interested in it versus how much is it because we're actually
Mhm.
excluding people. And that's an important thing for us as a community to look at, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Bryn, do you wanna go on?
Yeah. So off of what Austin said, I am definitely not an expert in this either. Just because I have been able to be comfortable in the dance community. I do think one specific element that we can change structurally about, the way events are run and stuff is this dance is primarily white, which means that the standards of the dance come from white culture. And I think that
Mhm.
sort of by definition excuse me, excludes some of the artistic contributions of people who don't have a background in, say, ballet or international Latin, which is also sort of a whiteified dance. So I think that the community, especially like the people who are dancing this dance professionally, I think it would be helpful to be open-minded to seeing different ways of dancing this dance. And if you think, well, that's not what I'm used to, that's not like really classic West Coast swing, I think we need to ask ourselves why we don't think it's classic West Coast swing. Is that because somebody who's dancing it doesn't look like me as a white person? And also, like especially in the United States, I don't know what the story is in Europe necessarily, but
No, I think in this aspect, it's pretty similar all over the world.
yeah. But then, so like specifically in the United States, I think like society is built on structural racism, and we have all been conditioned by white supremacy. So that extends to judges. And judges really need to come to terms with, okay, I should assume that I have these biases and I need to start to figure out how to correct them. So if I'm seeing somebody dance who looks different from what I think of as the norm of West Coast swing, then I need to take that into account in what my jerk reaction is to their dancing.
Sure.
Plug, there's this thing called the implicit association test. I think you can Google it and take it for yourself. It has a whole bunch of different categories. I would strongly suggest doing that because it sort of just gives you information about yourself.
That's cool. Maybe you can put it in, David, or maybe Justin can put it in somewhere later.
Yeah, Bryn, just send me a link and I'll make sure we post that in the pro links. That's a really good answer. Do you want to finish with Diego as well?
Yeah, I think we can. Diego, can you answer briefly, and then we need to go to the break?
Yeah. Hey, we are talking about how to create a better community, right?
Yes.
So there is. I'm probably against almost everything that's going on right now, and I can.
Whoa. Okay, that's harsh.
Talk about that, yeah, because I mean, I talk about the whole concept. I totally agree with they said so far. So much. First of all, there is one event I have never been there, but everyone who was there say that this is just an amazing event. It's Maxon's event. I think a swing promenade.
WTP.
Yeah, WTP, exactly. And there is no competition there.
Shout
There
out
is
to
no
Maxons and this
competition
team.
there. And what has been make West Coast Swing grow for the last years was competitions, was the West Coast Swing world rules. People need points, people need to compete, people need to go to the Open. And that makes a lot of people feel pretty bad because the only one will be first place, couple will take top 5, but a lot of people will lose. And those people who lose, they feel pretty bad because they think they are not dancers because the judges don't allow them to make finals. I mean, I have been talking with so many all-stars during the last years, and they come to me and they said, "Oh, I'm thinking about quitting my dance. I'm not getting good results. I'm not feel more good about myself anymore because people believe about what the judges think about them." And I always say when I ask someone how was your competition, and they answer me, "I don't know. Let's answer for the results." I say that's the wrong answer. So you let someone decide if you'll be happy or not, because if you have that kind of dancing and they put you in first place, you feel very happy and you feel like you are amazing. And if they place on last, you feel you are not worth it. And that's so wrong. So people need to understand, if you want to compete, that's great. If you like to compete, that's great. But understand that the results cannot control your happiness. You have to decide right now if you did good or not. Another thing is like even social skills, like people need to be strongly emotionally. They have that rules. I have one conversation with one student exactly like a little more than a year ago, when she was talking to me because she was very sad because she invited a guy to dance on the social dance, and the guy said no to her, but she saw another girl come to him, and he was dancing with this another girl. And I asked her, so yeah, I get that, but why you are feeling bad? And she said, because he say no to me, and he said yes for another girl. And I say, okay, like if a guy who you don't like invites you to go out, you say what to him? I would say no.
Ah, nice.
If a guy who invites you to go out and you like him, what do you say? I say yes. Yeah, so you need to control yourself. As your people should be allowed to say no when they don't want to dance because they are tired, because they don't like the music, or just because they don't like to dance, they don't want to dance with you at that moment. And people need to stop to feel bad and need to accept the no's, and like it's totally okay. You can stay there on the dance floor and talk with your friend. If someone invites you, you say no, and another girl invites you, you say yes. So the emotional aspect of people in this community have been very, very messed up.
Yeah, definitely. I agree, Diego. It was very smart stuff. I think, Justin, it's time for a break, right?
Yeah, firstly, just a great question, Stephen. Thanks for bringing it to attention. 4 great answers there. And obviously, if you only caught the end of it, we'll obviously have the catch up as well. So, quick message to Andreas, get that elevator music on for YouTube and Facebook. And we'll be back in just around 4 minutes' time. You're listening to the YYSD live Q&A with me, Bryn, Diego, and Austin, taken with the soundtrack of the 2003 film Love Actually. That's a rework by the Sugar Babes of Too Lost to You that was done especially for the film. If you're just joining us, hello, I'm DJ Justin, the moderator for this evening. Yuval's in charge of the really good questions. And Topi and Andreas, hello to those guys on Facebook, YouTube, and Discord, looking after all of us. Now, if you want to ask questions, jump in the text chat where you can ask questions to the dancers this evening, also via voice, and get involved. Actually, I'm just looking at the time, fabulous West Coast swing dancers, and we're actually at time. Would you guys be okay hanging out for about another 30 to 45 minutes? Because the conversation's getting good. Would you be okay with Austin, Bryn, Mir, and Diego?
Yes, sir.
I'm good.
I have some Brazilian food here in front of me. I'm okay.
Okay,
as long as it's Brazilian sushi, it's okay.
Brazilian sushi, yeah.
Cool.
That's absolutely awesome. So jump in. These guys are staying on for you for the next 30 or 45 minutes. So I think really you've got a chance to ask questions. Make sure you do it. Yuval.
Thanks, Justin. And I hope everyone's back from the toilet. Now, Justin, do we have our next question from the audience?
Yeah, I've just been going through the questions, and there's a really interesting one, I think, that kind of feels on from this whole inclusivity. And I think I'm just going to cut and paste it in for you now because it's a bit of a long read. I'm too lazy to read it out. So let me just put it here for you. Hey, at least I'm honest. There you go.
That's true. Oh, Andrea from Slovenia. Hi, Andrea. So, question goes like this. In the world of West Coast swing, most men still lead and most women still follow. Do you guys, especially like all of you, do you like switching roles? And how did you choose your role in the dance? And do you think we're going to see West Coast swing becoming more degendered in the future? Bryn, do you want to start?
Yes. So I am a huge gender studies nerd. It's one of my majors in college. And I really like the idea of degendering West Coast swing a lot. I think it's beneficial for society in some ways.
For sure.
I do like leading. I do not know very much about it yet, so that'll be a fun journey.
I'm sure you're a great
fun journey. Hopefully that's not COVID.
You're a great leader.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I chose my role in the dance because that's what the role that I was put in. Yeah, I mean, I started West Coast swing in 2005, 2006. So I'm ancient compared to y'all, I guess. But yeah, I don't know exactly how West Coast Swing is going to become more gendered or the extent to which it is. I think you're probably going to see very different landscapes in different parts of the world. So, like where I'm from in Texas, people are a little more conservative. So maybe that's not going to happen as much. But someplace like California or Europe, I think it's definitely more possible.
Does it happen in Texas? At least a little bit?
So it's been so long since a social dance in Texas. Unfortunately, I don't remember.
Like, what is social dancing again?
What
What do you mean?
is it? What's a starter step?
Funny enough,
yeah,
like
no.
Ramiro Gonzalez from there, like he's a big,
Ramirez from Texas?
yeah, I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
Amazing.
Impressive.
And he's great, and like he was a big, person who did, opposite role
Role
dancing a
fusion?
lot.
So good. So good.
And so there's a lot of videos with him following in large competitions or just like, but I think the difference now
Nice.
with degendering West Coast Swing though is that it's more of like a push to degender it as a norm versus degender it as like a haha this is funny guys following kind of thing, right? So like if you watch a lot of older videos, like you'll see like bookends competitions or you'll see other stuff like that where it's like, oh, this is the single side competition, we say, like you can dance your opposite role and having it kind of like in a segregated part of the dance where like, just to kind of look at the question again too, like I do like switching roles and like most men do still lead, most women still follow, but I feel like that's because in dance itself, it's okay to have sort of gender expressions in the roles of the dance where like the leading part of the dance is a little bit more masculine in its aesthetics and its expectations, and then the following role is a little bit more feminine in its aesthetics and expectations, but at the same time like you can break those boundaries with those expectations of those roles, but also you can change your own expression to kind of fit the role that exists already, and that's okay. And I think that's where degendering is most important, where it's saying like you don't have to be 100% masculine all the time as a man. You don't have to be 100% feminine all the time as a woman, and no one really is. And so like it allows you to kind of say like, hey, maybe I want to take on this other outward expression of myself today, and I want to go and jump into a leader role, which is a little more masculine, like as a follower, and like that's okay. And like that's the important thing to kind of realize is like a lot of people look at degendering as a way of like, oh, we're taking men and women and just melding them together and there's no one else left. But really what it is that you're just saying like, hey, what is the expression you want to have in this dance in this moment to the song? Like, is it masculine? Is it feminine? Is it leading? Is it following? Is it kind of, how does it fit? How does it fit that? And then like you can pick, you don't have to be stuck doing one or the other. And that's, I think, why degendering is really important. I think why, in general, we should be completely, committed to allowing anyone dance any role at any time, because there's no reason you should essentially pigeonhole a person based on their outward expression of their gender, right, to a role in dance. There's nothing that in any sense should limit that, right? So like, yeah, if you express yourself as a man in or as a gender of a straight man or a man, you don't have to be just leading, right? If you express yourself as a woman in real life, like not dance life, I guess, because those are separate. But if you express yourself that way, and that's the gender expression you have in your life, then you don't have to be stuck dancing as a follower, because there's nothing that should explicitly say in the rules like, yes, any woman gendered person is there. Because what if like, oh, if you're non-binary, what do you pick? Like, yeah, of course. Like it's just, it should be open to people to choose essentially, right? And so yeah, like I'm 100% thinking that yes, West Coast Swing will become more degendered in the future, just because people are going to be more open to accepting the fact that the roles don't have implicit sexual limitations.
Nice.
Anyway,
That's
yes.
a very smart way to put it. That's a very smart way. Mia, how are you feeling about it?
I mean, okay, so I took my first West Coast Swing class from Samantha Buckwalter. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
huge, so huge proponent for degendering swing already. And I think I'm fortunate that the entirety of Atomic Ballroom does. And when they train me and when I talk to other teachers, like, how do I announce these things? And the way that we describe, especially for our beginning class, is all right, so I want all the leaders are on that side and all the followers on that side. The leaders initiate the dance and the followers follow through and embellish.
Okay.
And usually you get a few people kind of going, "Oh, well," and they choose a side for the type of dancer that they want to be. And you do it without saying like male or female. You do it without saying like confining words. You do it like this is the role of the dance.
And do you
Um,
see them really like, do you see men going to follow and women going to lead because you present it that way?
I definitely see people who would pick the role that maybe would be opposite of tradition. The people that would have already picked the opposite role, they're given the freedom to do that. But of course, you word it that way, and I think the majority of people that I've seen would still want a more quote unquote traditional role. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I came in knowing that I could possibly lead or follow, but I love the idea of being the picture in the frame rather than being the frame. And
Okay.
and I describe it like you can be an ornate frame. Like you don't need to be like a sample wooden, like plain frame. You can be like this decadent, ornate, beautiful frame. And the photo can also be beautiful and however you want. Um, I love that too. I'm like, you just need to make sure that you have all the four corners as the frame so the paint doesn't go out for the follower. You need to confine the portrait. So that the follower knows where to paint. She knows the rules.
Nice.
And I think the follower knows they know the rules. Yeah. So I think being in California, there's a big push to try to stop saying he or she, say leader and follower. And of course I always like, there's a few slip ups. Because he and she are really quick to say. So you're trying to get a lot of info out there and like leader and follower. Like it can be a lot for the mouth to process. But I think it's important to try to apologize quickly, get past it, and say exactly what you mean. But being in California, I see a lot of, especially in LA, I see a lot of people dancing the roles that they want. I definitely feel like there's a thought process, and I think this has already kind of been covered, but I think a leader needs to be a little bit more assertive. And I personally am not, I don't think like a leader.
Okay.
I think like a follower. And the more you know of the dance, you understand that there's difference. There's yin and yang. There needs to be balance. There needs to be, whether you call it feminine or masculine, like assertive and cultivating, hunter and gatherer. Like there's differences, and there's in each one there's a lot of variety. You don't need to be so specific. But it's fluid, and that's what makes this dance interesting. That you have like you pair two different dancers together, and they have their unique dance that no one will ever have again, and that's beautiful. So I think at the same time you take someone, let's say me, when I lead, I'm going to give someone a completely different dance than say someone who primarily leads. I'm going to lead them. I think like as a follower really quickly, what do I want my leader to do really quick? And then I reverse it real quick. Like I'm still like when I lead, I'm still thinking like backwards as a follower. And the dance ends up being like way more focused on musicality and body movement because I don't have the move patterns that people who primarily lead. But I think that's also fun and beautiful.
Cool. Wow, that was really nice. Thank you for that. Diego, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, Daniel, I was once having a conversation with one of my best friends here, and he was totally against that think that followers can do Jack and Jill as a leader, and men can do a Jack and Jill as a follow. He was saying, yeah, because like I know I go to dance, I want to dance with girls. I mean, I don't want to dance with a guy, hug a guy or whatever. And I said, are you kidding me, right? And they say, why? Because just 2 days ago you were doing jiu-jitsu with your friends.
True,
and
that's even closer than a close
Yeah,
position.
you were rolling with them in the floor and legs there, and you are scared about hugging a guy. Maybe, especially because West Coast Swing, we have. I always say West Coast Swing is a perfect dance style for jealous couples because there's so much space between them. And I do think like we should even talk about if they are allowed or not to decide what role they play, because it's 100% for them. Like, you should be able to decide what role you want to play, if you want to lead or if you want to follow. And I'm totally okay with that. I do think that should be like no conversation anymore. It's just like freedom. Another good thing here is like, do you know why I do not speak French, guys? I just do not speak French yet because my English is still bad. I still need to practice more my English. And that's the only reason I don't know how to follow. And I will probably never will be like a great follower, because if I have time to practice, if I decide to practice, I still will practice my leader skills, because I have so much to improve as a leader and I really don't want to improve as a follower. I love to follow, as Austin said, as a joke, as playing with my friends, but not really, oh, I want to improve that skill. And I love what has been growing up, this whole idea about people, because one of the things that I always fight with this community is because even though West Coast Swing theoretically create a lot of freedom for the followers, still a lot of leaders out there who hate when they try influence, who hate when they do some hijack, or who hate when she stop him to lead something. And I do think followers need much more power in this community to do whatever they want, so we can create a dance more like together and even less as a leader and follow.
Cool, thank you for that. Thank you all for that. And now for the next question, we have Leah from Finland asking, how could I know when to stop dancing when I feel pain to prevent a severe injury? Oh, wow. Me, I think that's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you talk to me and I make sure that you never hurt yourself.
Shameless plug.
I mean, I'm very passionate about this. I mean, they all know because I stayed on for an extra hour after our practice session talking about what I do. There's difference between feeling kind of sore from like using muscles and feeling pain. Those are different cues. If you feel pain, stop. Like stop. But then also knowing what you're doing to kind of address the pain in your everyday life, which is what I do. What I do is functional movement analysis through analyzing your walking patterns. So it's gait analysis. And I think it's a curse now because I'm like watching everyone, like watch random strangers walk by, and I'm like, they need this, they need this. They're just
You
off
stop them on the
center.
street like, hey man, listen.
I can't. I don't, because I don't want to. You don't want someone randomly like, hey, I noticed that you don't hike your right hip as much as you do your left. Let's talk about it. But they don't. Like no one wants that.
I
Yes,
wonder what the
Bryn,
response would be, but
yeah. So this idea that it could be from a repetitive motion, and let's be honest, West Coast Swing is, unless you're doing leading and following equally, you're going to be kind of one-sided. Like it's one-sided. And if you are fortunate enough to be kind of imbalanced in the way that benefits that side, then you're fine. You'll probably never really realize. But to give another example, I was rear-ended in a car accident, and I had horrible pain. It increased my scoliosis. I was going to chiropractor 3 times a week. Immense pain. And I look at photos of myself from that time, and I was just grinning and bearing it. I was having a really hard time.
wow.
And I was trying everything. I went like to the point that I was like trying acupuncture, like I was doing everything you possibly could do. And then I found what's called anatomy and motion, which is what I teach. And I believe very strongly because my scoliosis is gone and I live pain-free. I'm so tired of hearing dancers say, "Oh, I'm a dancer, I'm in pain." Like, no, because
Nope.
especially because now like they
No.
say that and I look like I'm like looking at their functionality. I'm like, you're lopsided. And I promise everyone on here, like, you're probably lopsided somewhere.
I
I'm
mean,
still
guys,
lopsided.
yeah. Do you guys have
Yeah.
like a tight left leg on the inside? It's probably happening. Sure you
So
do.
you have too much adduction on your left side.
Yeah, almost every leader's gonna have like a tight, hamstring on their left leg.
Yeah,
Compared to the right. It's like, yeah, everyone has a
Yeah.
lopsided motion in the dance for sure.
absolutely. And you know that like you feel pain, you have to stop. But then let's get to the source of the problem. Let's look at what you're doing day to day. What movements in your body are you not achieving? Because we should be achieving equal motions in all three planes. And what's missing? What's missing from your movement? That we can train your brain neurologically that it's safe to move there because our bodies are magical things and they want to make it work. And you have an injury, like if you stub your toe, your body will change the way that it moves in order to move away from that toe. It could be something so simple like that. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's my plug. Try to make it as short as possible.
No, that was great, Mia. Thank you so much for that. Really, that
Of
was
course.
super professional.
Thanks.
Anyone else wants to add on that?
Follow me on Instagram.
Okay, thanks. Austin, did you want to say something about
No,
that?
I think Mia covered it. Like, be aware of yourself. Like, if you're in pain, like actual pain, like stop. Like, take a moment. No, just don't try and push through it. There's way too many people in the community of all levels. Any like moment in dance, they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm in pain." Like, just chill. Like, your body is way more important than finishing a dance or finishing a night of dancing. Like, take a moment, address it, like she said, figure out the actual root of the problem. Where is your motion, not being fulfilled, that you're either getting like, a tight muscle, or you're getting like, if you're getting bone pains, that's a whole different thing. But like, all sorts of other stuff, joint pains, like, but just address it first. Like, you're gonna, if you try and push through it and think that's the honorable, strong person thing to do, like, that's just a dumb thing to do. That's not strong. It's not smart. Like, take a break, fix it. You'll be able to keep dancing longer, and you'll enjoy yourself longer instead of, falling out and not being able to dance in 5 years or whatever.
Okay, yeah. Bryn, do you want to add something?
Yeah, my left shoulder is higher than my right, and like my hamstrings are basically planks of wood. So I am not the person to speak on this. Mia, I think we need to talk, actually.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
Please. I'd love that.
Cool, yeah. Diego?
No, I
Before we go
already
to the next question.
Follow me on Instagram. She knows everything about. All good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good answer. So
Yeah,
we have a
you go to-
question from Sonia. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying you go to me to like fix your pain, then you go to Diego to get fit.
Stronger.
Okay, so we have two questions now. One from Sonia from Texas. Oh, do you know who that is? She's asking, what's the last event you've danced at?
Rose City Swing.
Mad Jam.
Rose City Swing.
Yeah, it was
Mad
the
Jam.
only swing for me a year ago.
Austin, how about you?
Rose City Swing, same as Mia.
Did you dance together at that event?
Social dance like once or twice, right?
Yeah.
Wait, we were rooming together, weren't we?
At Rose
Oh, wow.
No, we weren't. Yeah.
No.
No.
Yes?
No.
No.
We knew, yeah, because you were with Chris in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're like,
Wait,
it's been so long.
You guys are truly unforgettable.
That's so
I
funny.
love that.
No, yeah, different room because there were suites, so it felt
Yeah,
very.
there's that's why it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
Perfect.
you got
Perfect.
suites? Wow, that's
No,
impressive.
the hotel rooms, they're all like kind of built that way. You have
There's a couch
one
bed
bed
and then
and
a bedroom.
couch bed. Yeah, they're separated. Yeah, we definitely social danced Rose City. I think we've had some of my favorite social dances at the past Rose City swings.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been there. Maybe I should. I really want to go to the US again for events. That sounds really cool. And Mad Jam sounds
Right.
crazy.
That's one thing that I wanna probably say here. I do think people need to travel more overseas when this whole apocalypse shit is over, because it's so much to learn and enjoy. Like I see people in Europe travel for all European events. When if I can save for them, guys, save a little bit of your money and go to Singapore, Korea, Brazil.
Oh,
Yeah,
I want to go
Singapore's
to
so
Singapore.
I'm
Yeah,
sold.
yeah.
I say I'm sold.
Yeah, because I do think it's a total different experience. It's not just about the event, it's about the city, the food, the people, what they say. I mean, it's very rich, and people need to travel more. Even like my last event was Lyon Funny Swing. Is a very small event in France, and is one of my favorites in the world because I know a lot of people just go to big events, but in small events you have the opportunity to remember people. You know everyone's name, everyone's faces. So I love these small events, and so I just
And
say,
is it really funny?
yeah. It's really funny. It's great. It's a great event.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. I've never been to France actually, and I really want to go one day. Next question comes from Agnieszka from Poland. Oh, hi, Agnieszka. So she's asking, do you think it's easier to learn to follow as a leader or vice versa? Learn to lead if you're primarily a follower? Ooh.
The basics are. Oh, can I say that? Yeah, like the basics are pretty easy. Like if you want to be a great leader or great follower, you have to work hard. If you want to be great in both, you have to work twice harder. But if you want to learn a little bit just to have fun on the social, yeah, like a couple classes, you'll be done.
And do you think it's harder for one role or same?
No, it's harder for people who do not learn that fast, and easier to people who learn. It's not about the role; it's more about the person.
I mean, I
That's
would
true.
say it's easier for most leaders to learn to follow.
I would say
Because-
opposite. But
Yeah.
That's why I have
Why?
Right, yeah.
Actually, yeah, sorry, yeah. No, well, actually, I would say there's like a turning point personally. Like I think followers probably have a better time learning to lead because they're more likely to kind of just stick with the teaching they've got with that, and they kind of like more likely to just go with it. I think with the leader side, to be a good leader, you have to be kind of an idiot, like overconfident, right? You have to be kind of overconfident where you're just like a little bit dumb. You just like go for stuff and do some stupid shit. Like, and going into a follower's role, like, okay, sometimes there's that level of like, you have to kind of just commit to your movement and be overconfident in your movement sometimes as a follower. And I think there's a point there where like that really helps. But then on the other side, like as a follower going to being a leader, like you're much more tuned into your partner and listening to them more.
Yeah.
And doing all sorts of other stuff that's really important as a leader. So there's plus and minus on both sides, I guess.
So I think
Sorry,
go for it, Mia.
Go, Bryn. Go.
No, you go.
I was.
No, you.
No, you. American woman for you.
Yeah, literally. Actually,
No,
though.
you go. I think that it's slightly frustrating going from following to learning how to lead because you have so many ideas and then just don't have the tools.
That's
But
the
I
thing.
think that's way less frustrating for the dance itself than a leader learning how to follow. I've seen a lot of primary leaders learning to follow for the first time, and they have a very difficult time turning off their voice for how the dance is going to go.
Yeah,
Like
I
they,
can
they,
emphasize.
they, they're
I can
still
empathize
in,
with that.
yeah, they're in leader mode. They're like, oh, there should be a whip. There should be this. Like they're still counting, still free. Like I think it's harder to turn that off rather than, I think someone who knows how to follow can go in,
Mhm.
as long as they know the basics, you could still just dance the basics and have it be a totally successful dance.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
I think you make a really good point about like the transition from leading to following requiring maybe more trust.
Mhm.
Because as a follower, a lot of it is waiting or holding back and like giving your leader the tools. I mean, this is probably like more of an abstract thing, but like you put yourself in positions to then be moved. And it's really hard if you're so used to moving yourself all the time to just put yourself in that space. I also do think, though, that if a leader decides that they want to learn how to follow, they have the benefit of learning a ton through social dancing. Because if you
Yeah.
dance with higher level leaders, you learn how to follow better as you're dancing. Like that's the one of the biggest ways that I actually learned West Coast swing was just social dancing because I didn't have to know as much as my partner. And then by the end of that dance and then 1,000 dances after that, it has actually literally taught me something. Whereas if you go into leading, I'm not sure if that's the case. And like I will pose that question to like Diego and Austin. Like, do you feel like you can learn on the social dance floor, or is it more like your own
Yeah.
experimentation?
I would say that it's definitely you can lead or you can learn. Wow. You can learn, but it's just not as much. Like you said, like as a follower, you can kind of get almost all of your learning through being led through stuff. You just have to be really in tune with that. But as a leader, you can learn kind of from the middle up, like you've already got your basics. You can start to learn like, oh, how to shape and stuff like that. You can kind of draw that off your follower if they're really good at doing that. But yeah, you definitely can't learn like the same breadth of stuff as a leader as you can a follower just from social dancing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm following, that's so funny because there is no pressure at all. Even for myself, when I'm leading, I wanted to do things right, better, stronger, powerful. When I'm follow, I just want to have fun, 100%. And that's crazy because I always want to do hijacks. I want to do hijacks and create together. I can't just follow. It's like, okay, here's Lina Weep. Let's escape from here, Diego. You can do it better. So I do think it's a great experience to learn. And I keep what I say. It's not easy in one way or another. To me, it's about the person. And in social dance, you can learn a lot. I mean, there is no place for that. I always say to my students, when you practice, you need to focus on the skills that you want to evolve. But when you go to the social dance, stop to think and just relax. And that's exactly what I feel when I'm falling on a social dance. I'm not there to learn anything, just to create good memories.
Nice. That's a good answer. We have a very long question coming up, but it seems like a really cool one. It must have happened to you more than once that you've watched a live routine and got very excited about it, but when you watched it on a video, you just didn't have the same emotional reaction. So when I watch contemporary dance videos, for example, they usually trigger a bigger reaction than West Coast swing videos. Do you believe the difference is mainly in the level of videography, or do we need to make our routines more emotional to market our dance better? Wow.
That's a little bit loaded.
can
I think it
I?
has to do with the role of the crowd.
It's a little bit, yeah.
Okay, go ahead,
Go first.
Austin.
I'm just saying the question's a little loaded because it assumes that the dance has to be more emotional to market it better. But I mean, there's definitely a difference between contemporary dance and West Coast swing. West Coast swing is a partner dance. It dances to all sorts of different music. You might be hitting a whole different range of emotions, and they might not all be as as upfront and open and available as some contemporary dance stuff. But like in contemporary dance, your entire point of the dance is to evoke emotion and a response, whereas West Coast swing sometimes it's just to enjoy yourself and have fun. And so there's kind of a difference
But in a
in that.
routine,
Even a routine, it could just be to have fun. Like it doesn't have to be like that's one thing I think as well as like in a partner dance, it might just be that you are enjoying your partner, and that's your routine, is to enjoy your time with your partner, and requiring emotional investment from the audience. Like maybe if it has to be a great routine, like sometimes it can be a great routine that just is really good West Coast swing that doesn't necessarily have the same overt emotional interaction that maybe a contemporary dance does.
Okay.
Personal thoughts, I don't know.
Okay. Bryn, what did you want to say about that?
Yeah. So I have had a similar response to like West Coast Swing videos versus the live version. And I think it has to do with the role that the crowd plays in West Coast Swing. I also want to say that I think that Austin is like spot on with like the different ranges of emotion and also the levels of emotion that like West Coast Swing can elicit in contrast with contemporary. But like if you're at a West Coast Swing event live, like especially at the Open, and you have Roysted like getting the audience to scream our next couple, and like everybody is just like on the edge of their seats, ready to like explode their lungs with like support and happiness. That creates an extremely different atmosphere. And then when you're watching the video, a lot of times you can't really hear the crowd the same way. And I feel like that makes a huge difference.
And do you think
huge?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that Brandon's huge. I really, 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 really dislike when they take out the sound of the audience when they give us our videos. I hate it. It's the worst thing that you could do. It makes it static and there's nothing there. There's no feeling. Like, how am I supposed to be feeling? Because I can't hear what everyone else is doing. We tend to mirror people. And, I think that you have to be in the right. I think if something emotionally makes you respond, you probably were in the place to feel a response to that. You just happen to be right place, right time, right mindset. And I think that if you're having a hard time feeling an emotional reaction to West Coast Swing videos, I mean, I had a very strong reaction when I first watched Jordan and Tot do their More routine.
Okay.
I think I fell out of my seat just watching it on my computer.
Yeah.
That was a lot of feels.
If I can jump in, Mia, it's just like I totally agree with her, and I think she is asking more about emotion in kind of like sad feelings or cry or whatever. But the meaning is totally different. I mean, I'm not expert in contemporary dance, but as far as I know, you can do everything when you do a contemporary routine. But when you do a West Coast Swing routine and you have to put 70% of sugar pushes or passes, it's so hard.
Okay.
It's like people create routines to win competition. That's almost always the main goal. I want to have a great placement. I want to have a great placement. It's not to make people cry and not to make people scream. So I know if I put that movement here, people will love it. But the judge will say, okay, you should have more triple steps, or you should have more basic West Coast swing, and that shit rule stops the creativity at all. So it's so hard to create the routine as the way you really want when you have to follow that rules that didn't really exist because as in it just had and create something very powerful for the audience. So I totally agree with her. I just in our defense, I just want to say I wanted to do more, but I can't.
It's really important to notice, to also coming from a TV background, when you see stuff like Dancing with the Stars, and I'm sure people who've worked in the media can agree, a lot of that stuff is rehearsed, a lot of that stuff isn't true to the dance, and we rehearse it and make it a certain time so you guys react. We also fire loads of microphones into the audience, and we pump up the crowd before we go live or do the recording. So the thing is, when you talk about emotion, remember, television is still a staged medium, no matter live or recorded, and it's rehearsed time and time again. Mia comes from theatre. She knows the importance of rehearsal and rehearsal and rehearsal. With West Coast Swing live stuff, and that's it. And that's what you need to remember. It's a stage right. Diego's put that point in that you're choreographing to win a competition. It's shot live. There's not many mics in the audience. There's no pumping up of the audience beforehand. It's a stage reality, and that's what people forget sometimes.
Yeah, one thing I
I
want
think
to talk
it's a-
about too. Sorry, can I?
No, go ahead,
I-
Justin.
Just one thing. Like, if you ever watch like the Millennium Dance Studio videos and all those like hip
Oh,
hop
yeah.
videos, right? Everyone loves those, right?
Yeah.
Try watching one without the sound on. Like, I know you
And-
can't have the music playing, but like, it's just like because they do include their audience as a very significant part of that video, right? Because it
Yeah.
also is like tying into like how well do you know the dance style they're doing, right? The more you get good at West Coast swing, and the more easy it is to notice critical mistakes or errors or things that come down through the dance. So you're looking at this routine now with a more critical eye, the more experience you have with West Coast swing versus you're watching a contemporary dance. Maybe you've never danced contemporary in your life. You're like, wow, I really love the emotions that come out there. I saw these really cool movements and that was really fun. But maybe you don't know a lot about contemporary, so you're not going to be judging it as much, right? Whereas in West Coast swing, you have more experience with that potentially, and you might be judging it a little more in your head, maybe, you know, not explicitly, but you have that in the back of your mind of like, ooh, I saw there was a foot that was turned in there, or like, oh, I saw a misconnection, because you're looking at it a little bit more, and like, you
True.
you know, oh, their feet aren't moving as fast as I remember them when it was live. And there's a little things like that that kind of take away from the energy, and maybe especially if you take out the audience, suddenly you lose a lot of that. Where like in hip hop and contemporary videos that maybe have an audience, or there's an extra bit of, you know, cinematography involved that draws your attention to certain focal points, right? That all influences the emotional response you have to that movement, right? So like if you have an audience reaction in a hip hop routine where you have no idea what's going on in hip hop, but the audience cheers, like, oh, that was a really cool thing. That must be really hard, or something like that. And that
Yeah.
definitely influences your emotional reaction to that dance. So again, it's like also like, where are you as an observer? Like, are you an observer who's being critical? Are you an observer who's being just you know, someone who's experiencing that completely and just not trying to be more indifferent, right? Like, how are you really approaching the video you're watching? And also, is it the third time you've watched it? Like, it's the 15th time you've watched it? Like, how many times you've watched this routine? Do you expect the same emotional response every time?
No
Do you
more
know when
than
things that
that.
happen? No, of course not. So like, yeah, really, you know, it's partially, yeah, like, it's great to see good emotional choreography and, you know, play with actual emotional movement and stylizations in the dance, and see that come out in a way that is you know, thorough and tells a story. That's great. But at the same time, like, a lot of people try their best, right? They're doing their best with what they can to make that work, and they're trying the best to be someone who provides an emotionally substantial piece that's good for them and good for everyone else. But like Diego said, we're all having to like check these boxes to make sure it also doesn't make us lose immediately. And like, there's all sorts of other little things that kind of play into that like says like, oh, this other thing that's more freeform and is more focused on just emotion compared to this other thing. Like, how do we really compare the two? It's apples and oranges.
Yeah, and I think the main point here might be the audience. You guys are totally right. I think if we get the audience sound in, that would make it a whole other experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think Topi has a question. Topi, do you want to ask it in your own voice?
Sure. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So
Ah,
last week or week before, I had Sonia in my virtual gathering answering question with Steven, and she mentioned, as I asked who she's like recommending for us to watch out as a people we might not know about because they are not in Europe teaching a lot or something, and she recommended Austin as someone whose footwork and dancing she really likes and inspires to watch. So I'd like to know first, like, who's the one person you'd say has inspired your dancing and made your dancing the biggest difference? As like, you can start with someone you like, Tatiana or Jordan or whoever you want, and then someone that's been inspiring you maybe lately or at some point that's maybe a little less known person.
Oh, that's a good one.
that's so hard.
Take a second to think about that.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Mia,
I
do you
think
want to
actually,
start? Bryn, go ahead, Bryn.
Bingo.
yeah. So, well, I don't know. Now I'm kind of second guessing it. I think that Brandy Guild is like worshipped in the United States, and rightfully so. But I don't know how well known she is in Europe, but she is a technical mastermind, and her understanding of the dance is so ridiculously deep and broad. That it's really fun to just watch how effortlessly she does everything. And I feel like I can learn a lot from watching the decisions she makes and like just where she puts her foot, whether it's like 2 millimeters to the right or like 2 millimeters to the
Yeah, can I just tell a quick story here? It was my second year in US, was 2011, and I always loved to watch Brandy. She is just so clean and so powerful. Her motion quality is just amazing. And Brandy was doing Strictly with this good leader. And in one moment, he stopped her and he did like 4 or 5 spins himself. And she was just stand up, looking for the audience, and everyone was looking at her, going crazy. Just the way she was there, it was like a lion, like look. It was just powerful, and she was not moving at all. So I just want to quick that, because she is really someone that everyone should watch dancing and learning like a lot.
Agreed.
Yes.
Mia, do you want to go?
Well, the quickest way to climb a mountain is to get a guide who has done it before. And I think that, like, instead of trying to figure it out. But I knew very well that I wanted to get good fast. I was determined to do it quickly. And I didn't want to look like I was trying to copy anyone. So I very strategically picked different parts of many followers. I have an arm styling that comes from Tori. It's very specific from a video. I watched this tiny clip of her doing, and it's not even, she like puts her arm up like a centimeter on her anchor on her hip, and I loved it so much that I played that clip over and over and over, and I analyzed what she was doing. I also, as much as I love watching Tatiana and Victoria, I make sure that I kind of turn that side of analyzing off, because I know that I would have a tendency to be way more acrobatic even than I already am. I just have a proclivity towards it. I just really love being. I can do back handsprings. I can flip. I could do those things. I'm like, let me try to focus. And then I went to Asian Open. I was fortunate enough to be hired because I did a routine. And I had never watched Virginie or Maxence dance before. And I watched Virginie dance. They did a demo, and I was gone. I was just in awe. So I know that I don't need to tell European dancers like Virginie. But like this was already coming after, like I pulled things from Alyssa. I pulled things from Tashina. I was trying to take little bits and pieces from everybody. But then to fully answer the question, I think of who I also find very inspirational. I think everything that Jenna Shimmick does with her feet is absolutely gorgeous. So that would be someone, I think, to actually answer the question of who Europeans might not know. I find her footwork flawless and inspirational.
Just write it all down really quick.
Jenna
Yeah.
Shimmick.
Schmeck. It's just there's no I. It's just schmeck.
Schmick. So
Yeah, please write it down. Schmeck.
I mean,
Yeah, Austin.
are you through, Mia, or do you have more to?
I can
more
keep
listen?
going.
Okay.
I love watching.
So I'll cut you. Can I cut you off for a second?
Yes,
Then we'll get
go,
back.
please. No.
Cool. I mean, like most of. I mean, I just want to like preface this. Like again, like me, like I watched a lot of videos, but I would say that I've probably taken less lessons than most people in this chat. I've taken like 7 private lessons. Total. And so like yeah, right. I mean, I did years of group class and I did social dancing forever, but like it was never a thing that I directly went to people. to again get exactly what I wanted out of them, like, and try and copy them. So I would always pick, little bits and pieces here and there. Like, there's always people that I look towards. And for me, one thing was that I always looked towards people in the past. I never looked towards their current status, because I wanted to kind of see, like, the goal for me was to see, like, where did they come from to get to where they are now versus, like, oh, look where they are now.
That's cool.
So,
Yeah.
so that I would always look at, Jordan, just 18 to 25, essentially. I looked through, like, the early 2010s, a lot with Jordan and Ben and a lot of the big names, right? And you'd look at Kyle. I'd look at Kyle throughout his entire career, essentially, like up to. I would essentially like say, like, okay, 10 years ago, that's my cutoff. Like, where did they get up to that 10-year point? And that was kind of like, they're all established professionals for a long period of time before that. So I was like, where did they get to in order to get to that point? Where should I be looking towards? So I would pull footwork from Kyle. I would pull, a pattern or two from him in his routines with Sarah. I would pull, random aesthetic things from Jordan. I'd pull things from, like, Pete Green. Not Pete Green. Pete. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete
Green. Yeah, Pete Green. I was like, wait, no. Yeah, Pete Green. And then, like, I'd pull things from here and there. And, like, funny enough is at Budapest 2019, Tatiana was like, hey, you look like Wayne Bott when you dance. And I was like, I've never actually watched Wayne Bott dance until she said that. And then that was just, ticked off a whole thing of me watching Wayne Bott and trying to learn from Wayne Bott and do a lot of things like that. So just a lot of people that, are past versions of themselves or no longer around were kind of my inspiration. I'd watch a lot of Mario Bao. But, like,
amazing.
Yeah. In terms of, like, current dancers that Europeans don't know about, like, or don't know much about, like, Thomas Carter is always one of my favorite all-stars forever. Ben O'Neill is also an amazing all-star. We started dancing at the same time, pretty much. We were novice together and intermediate together, all the way through all-star together. And he was out of the community for a little while for other reasons. But I've always admired his dancing. He's great. He is like one of those leaders that should be in Champions if he was here more, like he's Ben O'Neill, like he's just takes the dance and makes it an expression of himself more than majority of the other people in All-Star, so it's just like one of those things. And I'm sure there are others, I just can't think of one right now, but like those are the two leaders that I'd always thought were underrated and especially underappreciated in other places.
Yeah. Quick note about sorry. I just want to say one quick thing about Ben. Ben O'Neill came in to, like, practice. I don't even think it was West Coast Swing. I think he was coming in to take salsa with his girlfriend. And he walked in and no one knew who he was. And I walk out, like, in between teaching privates or something, and I start fangirling, like, hard. I was like, oh my gosh, why are you here? What are you doing? You do know who this is?
Wow.
Yeah, Ben's great.
We should definitely bring him to Europe then.
Yeah. Oh, there's also the Guidos. The Guidos are always good.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. Sorry.
No. I just wanna. My answer for that is kind of easy at first, and it's funny. My story is close to the Austin, but I was having a private lesson with Brandy. It was 2011, and we were dancing. She was watching, and at some point she stopped me and she asked me, "Who do you watch dance?" And I didn't get the question. She said, "Who do you like to watch videos on YouTube?" And I didn't answer. She said, "Because you reminds me Jason Colasino." And I told her he was my first teacher ever. I mean, he taught me. He was the first one who came to Brazil. He taught me when it was 2009, I think, and he passed away like a month after that. And I always loved to watch him dance. He was very classic and powerful and masculine and great lines. So Jason Colasino is someone that I do think every leader should know, should watch and should learn from. Especially because he is not with us anymore, so you never have the opportunity to ask him some questions or to do a private or workshop with him. But if you watch what he did during those years, he was just incredible. And about now, I would say there is one follow. The European guys probably know her, Andi from France, from Lyon.
Yeah.
She is just my favorite follow in the whole world. It's just amazing dance with her, like her connection, her chemistry, her ideas, her eye contact, and the mood that she brings. I mean, it's just amazing, like to leaders dance with and to follows watch it, because every single leader that I talk, they say, oh yeah, she's my top three. She's my top three, because when we dance with her, we just feel the energy. It's something great. And I just want to add here some exercise for people who are listening to us now. A good way to start to figure out yourself and who you wanted to watch. I did that with myself and with my students for so many times. We like to write down your 5 favorites. Like, so if you are a leader, write down your 5 favorite leaders. If you are a follower, write down your favorite follows. Then you write down 5 skills that you most admire in that person. Then you start to check everything out and you see the kind of dancer that you really want to become. Because sometimes you watch Virginie and you say, oh, I like because she is powerful. And you like Brandy and you say, yeah, I like Brandy because she is powerful. And you watch Kelly's and, oh, I like Kelly's because she is powerful. And you figure out, I like to be a powerful follow. Because sometimes they are not alike. So when you see Brandy, Virginie, and Kelly's dance, they are not alike at all. But they have something in common, and that's exactly what you admire as well, exactly what you should be looking for.
Cool. Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. So
Hey, Yuval.
the final. Sorry.
I totally forgot to add my person now. Can I add her real quick?
Of course.
Yeah. So mine is Kristen Shaw. She is from, I think, New York. She's from the East Coast of the United States.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't think she travels very much, but she makes such good decisions.
Yes.
As a follower. It's like, what?
Okay.
It's ridiculous. She's an all-star, and I think like she definitely, yeah. So if you're looking, especially as a follower, if you're looking to like improve your voice or like your styling choices, she's just a fantastic example.
Yeah, the confidence to have calm and poise.
Right?
Kristen Shaw.
Ridiculous.
Nice. Definitely
in
check
a
her
different
out.
way than Brandy. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Bryn. And now for the final question. What's your best memory of each other? Who wants to start?
Jeez.
Do I need to put hold music?
Diego, when we
I want to start it? I can start it.
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah, so let's say first, I don't have a great memory with Austin, because we never spent really great time together. We crossed each other's path like in very quick way. I looking forward to spend more time with him. I love what he does, and I'm sure I will appreciate him as a person too. So, bro, let's create that together. Mia Primavera, I think was the first time I saw her. Was a whole weekend together. So I met her at the US Open pretty quickly. Because I met her. Don't met her, but I saw her because she was dancing with my Brazilian friend. I think is intermediate division at the time. Was that?
Intermediate finals, yeah.
Yeah. She was dancing with Camacho. He's a famous Zouk dancer, Zouk teacher. And I was watching them the whole time and video them wherever. Oh yeah, this girl is amazing. This Hollywood girl, West Coast dancer. Then we spent more time together at the after party just a week after. Yeah, and we have a great moment there. Then we start to keep touching. We don't saw each other many times. Couple events. Asian Open was another great.
It was Asian Open. Yeah,
Actually, Asian Open I would say is the most memorable one because we did a fun routine together with all the pros, and that was just a great moment. So is that, and for Bryn is for sure when we compete together at, how they call that thing, Bryn?
Challenge.
Yeah.
It was a swing 16. That was going to be my memory for us too. That was really fun.
So please share that because it's our
Yeah,
memory.
Bryn, you can tell that.
Explain that.
So I don't know if anybody knows what a swing 16 is, but basically, it's kind of like an All-American where you're like paired with somebody. Well, it's actually nothing like an All-American, so I'm going to take that back.
It's like an All-American, but
Except
nothing
in
like
every
it.
single way.
Not at all.
It's a fun jacket tube battle, right? There is a couple compete against another couple at the same time, and it's basically all about having fun. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like every round of the competition is like just two couples dancing like crazy, sort of duking it out, and then at the end of every round, the judges vote who stays and who goes.
Like the golden ticket tour.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think I was like a baby all-star at the time, was like completely starstruck drawing Diego. And then we wound up winning, which was totally awesome. But my favorite part of that was, I don't know how many of you all...
It's the same for everyone.
I don't know how many of you all have seen Diego's worm at Mad Jam.
Yeah, yep.
I was fucking amazing.
So,
okay.
So I can also do the worm. And the song came on that they played for Royston and Diego's worm off. So I got to do the worm next to Diego. And it was just extremely funny. And he like high-fived me way too many times.
Actually, it's not like you also know how to do. You are the only one who know how to do that shit. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea. And she was just she checked my chest. She pushed me a little bit, and what's going on? And she jumped herself on the floor and started to fly like a worm bird or whatever. I was just crazy, and everyone on the room was just going crazy. Yeah, I will never forget that. I think if I'm sick in my last days, people will ask me your most funny memory. I will talk about you, Bryn.
Bryn, what are your memories of the others here? Do you want to show something?
Yeah, so for Mia, I feel like we've gotten to spend a lot of time together from like Worlds and just like a whole bunch of events. Yeah, but my favorite is actually when you and Connor McClure, like Sunday night at the Open or something, figured out how to do like a butt sugar push thing.
What did I do?
What?
Like, so basically, there's this thing where, if a leader sort of like breathes and like goes on releve in a certain way, he can or she can get a follower to do the same thing. But Connor figured out how to make Mia basically plant her face on his butt.
What?
In the middle of a sugar push. It's like a legitimately readable move. And so we got a video of it and everything. And I think
I need to see this video.
Mia's just like, I was drunk, and Bryn's like, I was not drunk.
I was not drunk.
I do not remember.
So like your face didn't actually touch his butt, just disclaimer, like you're a classy lady. So
thank you.
Yes.
I think I remember like us holding hands and he would clench his butt and I actually also clenched my butt like as like a following exercise. Well, okay, so then like everyone's like, I think that people would tell me like, I think Connor has a better butt than you. And I'm like, that's not nice.
Don't say that to me. You don't say that.
People have said that to me. So I think it was in those same categories where we would like have butt offs. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's funny. Please send me the video because I'm a little worried that I don't remember this.
I'm really hoping that I still have it. If I do, then I will definitely send it to you.
Or at least video yourself describing exactly what I was doing. 'cause-
Or maybe you can send it to Justin and he can share it with the rest of the class.
I think that is the best idea. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll quite happily pin it on the Pro Link chat. Don't worry.
And then it's gonna beat all other West Coast Swing videos.
Yeah. Austin, my my memory of you, and I think I really like this. You were pretty drunk, and I think this is important because you
Okay, I want to hear that
like,
story.
you're pretty stoic. You know, Austin, you are like you were very footwork oriented, like structure, West Coast Swing, and I think like all of our social dances up to a certain point were very. I felt like I didn't really know how to communicate with you. I was like trying to do all the footwork, you know. And then it was a Rose City Swing. It wasn't the last one. It was the one right before that, the year before that, where you were very drunk. And
I think I had a whole bottle of tequila that night. That was not a good night.
You were. I don't think you probably don't remember.
And you survived.
There was a lot of tequila on the Friday night that year. Yes, it was not a whole bottle, but like there was a bottle was there, and then it was not there the next day, and I'm not sure who took most of it.
Yeah.
I think it was me.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you probably don't remember this, but you led me in a body roll, and I remember thinking that I succeeded in bringing you over to the dark side. I did it. I made him body roll. I didn't think it would ever be done. And then from then on out, our dances were just so much like I wasn't trying just to dance like you. I think it was more of a equal dance exchange, which I attribute to you being very drunk one night.
Austin doing a body roll. I want to see that.
Yeah, he did like
exists
a
in a lot
tandem
of
one.
places. Yeah, I've done a lot of bends and snaps too. Those are videos. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. My best memory of Diego was when you came with to WNY actually. Many years back. It was like 6 years back, 7 years back. He came to WNY to teach a workshop, I think, at some weekend. And I was one of like the people that was there at the end is myself and Haley Minkin. And you both came with us and we went to the little like 24-hour deli that's across the freeway from where WNY was. And we all sat there and got a sandwich and ate and just, talk shit for a little while. But obviously, like you both didn't know a lot of English, and so we're just.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, this happened.
No way.
It was not a lot of stuff happening, but we were there just hanging out, and we're like, you're very nice people. Couldn't talk with you very much because you were talking mostly in Portuguese and didn't understand most of the English you were saying, but you were there. It was great. Mia, best memory of you is at Swingtacular 2019 finals with Tony, right? Yeah, Tony. Just when you dropped yourself into the splits, and everyone else freaked out, and I was like in the back, like I probably didn't hurt it that much, right?
No, it
and
doesn't
then
hurt at all.
afterwards, I talked to you, and you're like, yeah, I didn't even notice it. I'm like, yeah, see, thick thighs save lives. No. But yeah, that was probably my best memory, just watching you just go plap, and then afterwards you're like, yeah, we didn't hurt it all. I was like, yeah, I didn't look like it was that bad. Everyone else is like cringing, who are super
all the whole all of the leaders.
There's a gasp from everyone.
The leaders were cringing.
Yeah, but there's like a gasp from the audience exactly when that happened. Like, no, it's fine, people. She's gonna be okay.
I'll be fine.
It's all her amazing body mechanics, right?
And
it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge. You have to study that.
I mean, Bryn, there's like too many like random dumb little things that have just been good memories. But I think one thing that's memorable that I remember that isn't necessarily, not necessarily the best memory, but it's one that just comes to mind right now for some reason, is when you drew Tony at Swingtacular and Larice was DJing, and you just happened to get the best song of the competition. We're just like,
Yeah.
this is questionable. Why is their song so much better than the rest of the songs that have been played so far? Oh, what's this?
Why don't you sing the whole song?
Oh God, no. What it was How Long Can a Fool Go Wrong, right?
Yeah, it was. It's like, oh, this is the song that you cannot lose with.
Yeah, it's like okay.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the songs they played are just
That's
like
an illegal song
yeah, they're
to
like
play.
okay blues songs, and then you guys get How Long Can a Fool Go Wrong. It's like alrighty, all right there.
Someone has to get the good song.
Right, but it's just a very coincidental somebody in the situation. That's why it's very memorable.
But
It
it's
was also a really good dance, but it's just like, yeah, that's probably the one I'll go with. I don't know, sure.
Cool. So thank you all for sharing your memories. And that was it. I'm handing it over to Justin. Thank you all so much for this amazing experience. I had so much fun.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
That was great. Justin, over to you.
Well, that's live Q&A 3 done. A massive thanks to, obviously, Diego and Austin. Thank you guys for participating. Obviously, Bryn and Mir for bringing such great conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you all. It was just a great time, and it's a good thing to do in the lockdown moment in Brazil. So thank you for this fun moment.
And most of all, a huge thank you to you, the community, for tuning in on the Discord server. We've had comments come in from Facebook and YouTube all night, and too many people to mention. Now, if you do stick around, Topi's going to do some Among Us for the regulars in here. If you know that game, you stick around and play it. If you fancy having a go, I'm sure Topi will teach you how to play it. He's an absolute ace at the game. So take care, everyone. There's going to be 3 songs in here, then I'm going to disappear as well. So goodbye to our pros. Thank you very much for taking part. Yuval, thanks for doing an awesome job in the questions. Our tech team, round of applause to Andreas and Topi. And we'll see you next month.
I can't clap with 2 hands and push talk on.
Bye-bye.